Hey guys, DibtheAwesome here to give you another Monster Legends Guides, where we talk about monsters' moves, their kits, ruin sets, who to pair it up with, all that jazz. Today we are talking about Plymouth. Plymouth is the new Thanksgiving monster that came out yesterday or a few hours ago. I mean, not a few hours ago, but yesterday. Because I'm actually recording this the day after Thanksgiving. It's like 1:15 in the morning AM, and yeah. So I am kind of late on this guide. I'm sorry for that, but it's the usual of I was out with my family. It was Thanksgiving, and when I got home, I did other stuff, did a live stream and stuff like that. I talked about owning this guy, showed everybody that I had him in the hatchery and stuff like that. Uh, and yeah, this I will have to say this monster, like out of all the holiday event monsters, this one's actually the most funniest. This guy is beyond just yeah, he just unexpected. You wouldn't expect this guy at all. He's just really funny. He's a dude in a turkey costume. He's fat. He's a guy in a turkey. It's like you cannot not laugh at this monster. This monster is funny. It's just funny. He's really funny. I enjoy these kind of monsters that are really funny, really great. It makes you forget about like competitive play. And I actually got two of these because I actually want to use this in competitive play. Because the 105 stats kind of patch up its poor stats. I mean, like they're kind of meh. I mean, like his I don't like how his base life was. At 105, you'll see that change. It changes into a more. He has more acceptable stats at that point in order to be used in like competitive play and stuff like that. Like 3,588, 29,246, and 3,553. He actually needs this. He actually needs to be 105 in order to be used for competitive play, because his base stats are just really poor. Not extremely poor, but they're not high enough. They need to be a little bit higher. They need to be like at a minimum set to be used for competitive play. And I really wanted to use mine for competitive play. Because I kid you not, I really like this guy. This guy's funny. I enjoy these kind of monsters, the ones that just make you laugh and stuff like that. And I just, as soon as I saw this monster, I just laughed for a good, solid 5 minutes. I sent when my best friend was kind of moody or just kind of sad and stuff like that. I sent him a picture of this monster, like the little thumbnail here, and his reaction was, what the hell? It's funny. It's really funny. I really do. This guy, the egg is so adorable too. It doesn't. I can. Okay, yeah. This is what the egg looks like. It's just so adorable. I don't know why Skype is popping up. That doesn't need to be a thing. But yeah, this thing is just adorable. It's just really funny and adorable. Uh, but yeah, okay. So so you're probably wondering if this monster is bad. I mean, like if this monster needs to be buffed, does that mean its moves are extremely great used in competitive play? That is in the eyes of the beholder. I'm gonna talk about this monster. Uh, and I think it just needs to be talked about because a lot of people just straight off the bat just dismiss it. It can't be really used for anything. It can be used. It just needs a rank up. It just needs one rank up. That's all it needs is one rank up. That's all you need to do is rank it up once. Uh, and some people might say that's kind of a waste of because it's kind of a waste of 500 gems. Again, I beholder. If you really like this guy, do get him. Uh, I'm not saying you can't use them if you don't have them at 105. You can go ahead and use them. Like there's just other stuff. Like his stats aren't his he needs the buff. He needs the stats up. His the he needs to be able to he needs the 29k for his life regen. He needs that. He absolutely needs those base stats. Uh, and I'll explain that in his kit. All right. So he is weak to fire. Obviously, he's a nature monster. His power is 3,432. This is an okay power in terms of nature monsters. I think the judgment is obviously probably higher than this. Without like the buff, he might the guy does this guy doesn't stand a chance against Juggernaut or Judgment. If it's like a 1v1 fight, it's just he might not stand a chance. Uh, he might. I'm saying he might not because Judgment has a lot of regen and stuff like that. He doesn't have the base stats to compete with him. But at 105, he can stand up to him pretty good. Uh, his life is 26,540. This actually hurts him. This is why he needs the buff, because he needs more life. He needs more life to take advantage of his kit. This really hurts him. 26,540. Even with a life rune, it needs to be a really high life rune at that point. Level 5 will not cut it. You need at least a level 7 or 6, I think. Maybe at least a 6 or 7. Depends on how much life you actually get. I don't know the exact amount you actually get, but percentage, obviously, it's stuff like that. I just don't know how much you get. His speed is 3,399. He's actually, I looked at it like Varna speed. He's actually the same speed as Varna. This guy moves just as fast as Varna. Obviously, that doesn't matter too much because he can't deny Varna. I just wanted to point that fact out. The turkey man runs the same speed as the lobster man. I find that really funny. It's just silly. This is a guy in a turkey costume. But yeah, his weakness is fire. Obviously, he's a nature monster. He's got immunity to poison, not the best trade, but he is immune to the common stuff. It's like the equivalent of fire being immune to burning. It's not bad. I mean, it's bad. It's not too great, but it's not too bad. That way, it's just immune to his nature's common status effect. That's not bad. It's meh. I'll say it's meh. It's not okay, but it's meh. Okay, so this deals massive nature damage to all enemies. All allies healed by 30%. I hope this is by 30. I hope it's not 10%. I'm really hoping it's not 10%. The description says 30%, so I'm hoping it heals for 30%. If this is 10%, this is not a good thing. But yeah, I do realize this is a healing ult. It's a really, I really hope it's a 30%. I hope. If it is 10%, I hope they fix that. I hope they do make it 30%. But yeah, this ultimate is actually really nice. It actually, even though it is a nature, yeah, you can say it is in fact a nature ultimate. But if you do pick up this ultimate during your games, it would actually benefit you a lot because he has a move that can actually make this worth using, even against the nature monster too. This is a nice ult. Of course, if it heals by 30% too, that's really important. It needs to be like a 30% heal. That's really good and important for everybody on your team. It's a good sustainability ult. I guess I will mention that he has a 0 turn cooldown, 50% stun. If you're interested in like stunning and stuff like that, he does have that. It's not too good. I just wanted to bring that up because people like stun moves, and this guy has one, but it's not a very high chance. You do need a precision if you're gonna run this move. Run a precisioner. It's not a very strong move though. So odds are you probably won't run it. That's fine. I don't see much point. This is a 4. Don't run this move. It's not that great. Thank this. This deals heavy special damage. You may run this move. This is a possible move you may run. On a set that I would recommend. I mean, like I'll recommend. I have 2 sets to recommend, or probably like three sets to recommend. Thank this. I think it's in at least one of them. This is just a spammable 50 damage move. This is a good move in terms of attacking. It doesn't do anything else though. Just to keep that in mind. It doesn't do anything else. You're just there for soul damage. And if you have like a buffer, this does more obviously. Kill. Now this deals low nature damage to all enemy. This is the most interesting skill actually because it does low damage to all enemies. It's a 50% chance of poisoning and stunning on targets. Requires cooldown. It's just a 2-turn cooldown. You will need precision. If you run this move, you need precision. I like the fact it's on a 2-turn kill. It's on a 2-turn cooldown. This is great. First, so you have the chance to spam it. I use like Will Razorface all the time, and these moves are always so appreciated and stuff like that. It rotates really nice. This is a maybe. I'm not saying you should 100% run this move. This is a maybe move. A lot of people don't like this. It's like a mixture. It's like a love-hate thing. They like the fact it stuns and also poisons, but they hate the fact it's a 50% chance. So you have to run precision in order to make this worth using. Clever Bird. This deals low nature damage to all enemies. All enemies become weak to nature attacks. Requires cooldown. Now this is actually one of the moves that people are actually like. This is why he's like he can be considered viable. He can be considered interesting or like possibly usable. With this move, this is basically it makes everybody like flammable to nature attacks and stuff like that. This is interesting because in like Team Wars, if you had like if you like had like a nature and another legendary, you could use this guy in conjunction with another nature, and you can pretty much do like the whole dealio with like magnetize and stuff like that. If this was 80%, I think people would really get this monster or really want this monster because the 80% is a lot. But it is only 50. It is only 50%. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. That's okay because the effect lasts for 3 turns anyway. I will say this is a must move to run in a set that I would recommend. By easily, this is a move you probably want to run in one of in the sets. This move is pretty good in terms of like in conjunction with all of his other stuff. Oh, I'm thankful. Deals heavy special damage. My poison target heals by 30%. Requires cooldown. I love this move. This move is very, 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 very interesting. Obviously, you wouldn't use this on the nature monster. You'd use this on the enemy, like the other monster and stuff like that. You would use it on them. All right. You not only would you poison them, you would also heal. So this is probably more than likely the situation where you're fighting an attacker. Use this on the attacker, so now they have like 10%. I mean, like they lost 20% power, they lose like another 10% life, and you gain 30% back. This is a good recovery move. Use this whenever you're low on health. I'll get you back up there, and it works really well with this next move. I'm going to actually recommend you run. You have to run this move. This is his best. In my opinion, this is his best move. This is a really game-changing. I think this is a really good move that can actually help you win, like secure 3 coins in three legendary war, and that is Gobble It Up. Deals moderate nature damage. May give regeneration to all allies. I want to emphasize that regeneration to all allies. Everybody's getting healed. I know it's a single. Okay, I know it's a single enemy damage thing, and it's on a 3-turn cooldown. It's okay because the regeneration lasts for 3 turns. Okay, you need to understand. This is really good. Like regeneration to all is phenomenally well. I use like demise all the time, and just having regeneration is great. I'm sure if people like those that use Invarv all the time, regeneration is great all the time. Like especially if it gets everybody regen, it's great all the time. It's a really helpful thing, especially in Team Wars. If you have if you're running like a tank team, on a defensive team, if everybody on your team has regen, the enemy's gonna fucking hate. They're gonna hate you. I'm sorry, they're gonna hate you. Especially like in terms of Team Wars, like stuff like that. Usually the nature monster is sometimes it's usually the damage output, and they don't really have like any boosters or anything like that. If everybody's regenerating health, that means like their damage output is greatly lowered. This is a really nice move. It is really nice to run. The massive regen is just really great. It provides a lot of situations. Let's say you're like poisoned and stuff like that, or like burned. You're just regenerating. Again, you lose. I guess you lose like 15% of that, but you gain 5% back. It just takes away from being poisoned or burned. It's very good in those situations. In order to patch up what you are missing or anything like that. This is phenomenally great. It's just really nice to have. This is his nicest ability. You want to run this ability, and this move might actually be on every set because it's a really good ability. All right, this next one isn't too surprising or amazing. It's called Explosion. This deals low nature damage to all enemies, may poison all targets. Requires cooldown. This is a 4-turn poison. I really like the fact it's a 4-turn poison. That means that over time it's going to take 40% of your life away. And the debuff on it's going to last for 4 turns too. So that's kind of ruining your damage output too. If you have like in conjunction with like days or anything like that, or like more damage over time like bleeding, it's just a lot of damage reduction. And this guy has moves that can patch him up. Not too many than most nature monsters, but in terms of spamability, like none of these 2 moves don't run on 2-turn cooldowns. They run on 3-turn cooldowns. which is kind of hurtful for him. But yeah. This is a move you may want to run on him, may not want to run on him. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about possible sets. Now, this first set, this is the set where I think everyone can really relate to in terms of, being good against like, let's say you fight against like Timeron, so you're not so Timeron weak. I would run Thank This. This is the Timeron anti-Timeron set. I'd run Thank This. I'd run I Am Thankful. I would run Gobble It Up, and I'd probably run either Clever Bird or Turkill, or any of these three moves. Like, so you pretty much pick all these three moves, and you pretty much pick your own AOE at that point. I think some people might turn to this just because it's a chance to stun, and it's a relatively low cooldown, or maybe just go for like AOE poison, or they might not want to set up Clever Bird. You can run Clever Bird. You can set it up. You can power up Gobble It Up. I think the combination was you use Clever Bird, and then you Gobble It Up to do a good decent chunk of damage. Obviously, if you have really good strength runes, this will probably kill. Not many people run life runes on their monsters, so you can probably take advantage of that. Just do a lot of damage, and you're going to be able to get back a lot of hit points back next turn. So yeah, that's the first set. That's the first set you can run. This is the set I might actually run. It's kind of a debate between the Timeron set and this following set. So I would have you run Clever Bird. I would have you run Gobble It Up. I'd have you run Oh, I Am Thankful, and I'd have you run Egg Explosion. So I'll explain why for each move. So explode. Well, first up, Gobble It Up is just, I've explained it so many times. The regeneration is really great, and it goes really well with Clever Bird. So the reason why you want Clever Bird is so you can increase the damage output on Explosion and Gobble It Up. If you have like a damage booster or like Totem, I highly recommend you run these moves in conjunction. They just work in sync. And keep in mind, all these moves run on a 3-turn cooldown, which is nice, and it goes well with like rotations and stuff like that. All these moves run on a 3-turn cooldown. You don't want to run the set against a Timeron. Do not bring this guy in a fight with Timeron. If you're using this, don't do that. Please don't do that. This guy is not. I'd say this guy is like hurtful to. I mean, like this guy is very hurtful when fighting Timeron. You do not want Timeron to use cooldowns activated because you're going to be doing nothing for 3 turns. That is not healthy at all. This is a set you do not want to run when fighting Timeron. Again, do not run this set when you're fighting Timeron. Do not run it. Do not run it. Do not run it if you're fighting against Timerons. It's not going to end well for you. It's just not. Basically, at some point, like when you run out of stamina or something like that, or like if you have stamina regen, you might be able to like spam for a little bit longer. But yeah, when you do that, then you can, it rotates pretty much every time you use a move. You use the other 3 moves, and at some point you just have to go one and then the other, and then go back to the other, or you can like take a turn to recharge, and then just do the whole combination over again. It's a very good It's just a 3-3 rotation. They're all go on a 3-turn cooldown, which isn't too like it's not. I know it's like not spammable, but again, it goes on rotation, which isn't okay. It takes a bunch of its good points and stuff like that. So why would I have you run Oh, I'm Thankful instead of the Thank This? Thank This doesn't give any I will say this is because it's not giving any recovery back. You can run this move if you want to just do damage, but I would run this move because it gives you health back, which is good in some situations. You may not have to run this move if you're just really good at defending your monsters and stuff like that. You could very well just run Thank This, just for spammable damage output and all that jazz. Once you've done your nature combination. Because I think in terms of like, if you're going to use it, obviously you're going to use this guy as an attacker, so you'd set up with Clever Bird, and then you'd probably set up, either Gobble It Up, to get rid of a specific monster, or you can just use Explosion to get damage on a lot of monsters. And if you have like double damage and stuff like that, odds are this will kill. Just a combination of Clever Bird and then Explosion. It's just a good setup. Now, a lot of... Yeah, that's that set anyway. I will say the third set, This is the third set. This set requires you to have precision. You need precision to run the set. This is his like kind of a minor deny yet still do damage kind of set. You want to run Clever Bird. You want to run Turkill, and you want to run Thank This, and you want to run or maybe or you yeah I will say this yeah because it's minor it is minor whatchamacallit, it's minor control and stuff like that. Uh, okay. Okay, so you want to run Clever Bird, you want to run Turkill, you want to run Gobble It Up, you want to run Oh, I'm Thankful. You want to run those two. You want to run this combination of moves. Uh, so first you set up with Clever Bird. So then you can run. You can give your you give your guys time to set up. You got okay. So you set up. Your buffer sets you up with precision and stuff like that. So you could probably either do this move or you could probably do the stun first if you wanted. But you could run Clever Bird. You can do Clever Bird first, or you can do Turkill. It's your choice. But you can. I would just probably say set up with Clever Bird first, and then run Turkill, or just use Turkill and stuff like that. Uh, this is like a minor deny or something like that, or like a miniature deny attacker and stuff like that. So you set up with Clever Bird, then you do Turkill, then you can do Gobble It Up. You do the regen and stuff like that. Your attacks are more effective and stuff like that. uh, and you would run Thank This because it's your spammable damage. It's just it's like something you can cycle through. Uh, in case you fight Timeron, this is just for Timeron. This move right here is just for Timeron. In case you fight those situations. I know that it's not too much of damage. It's not this set isn't too great. I will admit it's not a great set. Uh, it could probably you could probably like switch it up if you want. You can edit this set. Choose to your liking what you think is great. Uh, you can even switch Thank This for Oh, I'm Thankful. Uh, again, you can edit this set. I'm not saying it's the best set. I'd say the best set would actually be Clever Bird, Gobble It Up, Explosion, and Oh, I'm Thankful. Uh, but again, that's you don't use that set against Time. Don't you dare use that set against Timeron. I'd say like the set everybody could probably agree with or like be satisfied with is Thank This, Clever Bird, Gobble It Up, and Oh, I'm Thankful. I think they can be okay with that, or they could probably you could switch Clever Bird. You can switch a Clever Bird instead. Use Explosion. You can do that. It is his damage AOE, and it's a 4-turn poison. You could do that. If you're not too thrilled on things being weak to nature, you can switch it up with Explosion. But I think people would want to run Clever Bird because Gobble. Then you can just do damage with Gobble Up. You can hurt the nature monster. But I think even at that point though, I don't even think it's necessary because you have Thank This, which is it's base damage, it's like special damage, so you don't have to worry about that. So you could just very well run again. You could just very well run the Explosion. You can do that. That is doable and that's fine. Partners. Okay, this is where it gets interesting. Partners. You can. I will say this: if you run, I do this when I run Monster Clutch. Use Totem. Now that might be a really weird statement, but if you use Totem, you can patch up. You can patch up his bad. His like meh offensive stuff, or you can actually patch up his poor life. I can say that if you have Totem, you could probably patch up his poor life. You can pretty much put, if you don't have if you're missing a rune, you can patch up what he's missing with Totem. Totem is really great. He's really also you can probably protect his damage output too. Okay, so what the thing with Totem, obviously why use Totem when you can just use double damage and stuff like that? With Totem is different. Okay, so there are a lot of situations where people use like AOE daze or just a move that decreases power and stuff like that. When you use Totem and you use like your Mahu Mojo, you pretty much give him power. You pretty much restore power that was taken away. So like let's say you're like bleeding and you're like I don't know, you have like poison 2. If you need the damage output back, all you need to do is use Mahu Mojo. It literally replaces all the damage you lost back. It literally gives you, I know it's like 8% back, but I'm saying you have 8% more power. I'm not saying like it only gives you 8% of that 40 you lost back. I'm saying it restores all that 40 back plus 8% more. uh, and as much as people don't like daze, it is actually pretty common. You do see dazing a lot in like PvP and stuff like that, depending on like setup and stuff like that. Especially if you're fighting or Razorface or something like that, uh, or just something just what people set up with and stuff like that. Uh, and yeah, you would want to use Totem because then you can patch up bad stats. You just replace what's not there. Uh, you can use buffers. You can use the common stuff. Like I will say like for the Nair, you need to run Kalik. Uh, because okay, I'll give you a situation of why you should run Kalik with this guy. All right, so you have Kalik, right, and it's a water nature war, and the enemy had like, let's say for example, he's using like Varuna or something like that, and you go first, or like just something that okay, let's just say something that freezes. They have like Cavern Fish, and on the first turn they do the AOE freeze. If yeah, and you're the smart guy here. You're the smart guy because you're the one that brought a life rune on Kalik. You got 2 speed and a life rune on Kalik. You're the smart guy. You're the one that's gonna benefit out of this situation, especially if the enemy Cavern Fish uses freeze first. Then you can it's a lot easier to set up. I mean, like it's a lot less damage output on you. Uh, so you set up with that. All right. You're setting up with that. All right. And then you do the AOE immune to freeze and stun. Then it goes to the enemy attacker turn. They do an attack, and then you can set up with your AOE regeneration and stuff like that. So now when it's Kalik's turn, you will be regenerating your life pack and stuff like that. You're back in the game. You're pretty much back in the game. Gavin Fish goes again. He can't stun you. He can't freeze you. He'll probably do like another AOE after like his first AOE. He's kind of like AI 80 proof like that. But yeah, now you can't be stunned. You can't be frozen, and now you're regenerating your life back. Now you can use your deny, so you can freeze the enemy attacker. Then you can set up with your you can use you can use other moves. I would say like after you use like if you do use like the regen first, then you would have to use the I'm thankful to restore all the life that you were taking from the AOE damage. You can do that, or you can do odds are though most of that will actually be healed up because of Gobble It Up. So you can follow that up with I will say you can probably run it up with Clever Bird, and then you can do Explosion, or you can set up Explosion ahead of time, just to get your dot damage out there. You can do that. You probably lose damage output though, so I would say after you do the regen, you do Clever Bird, then you do Explosion. I would do that. I would do that combination. Where like that setup order. At some point you do a lot of damage. At some point you do so much damage, and you haven't died yet, or you just done so much restraint. They can't do anything at that point. They're done. Because you have so much life regen back. I mean, you're getting so much life back because you have the life rune on. Again, you're getting more life back than you would if you didn't run any life rune. So running a life rune, especially like that's why you need Kalik. Yeah, that's why it's a must. Like I will say the must-have like partner for this guy is Kalik. Unless you're running Demise, then you don't need to run anything else. But well, yeah, I will say yeah. You probably want to run Demise too. I will say you need Kalik and Demise. That's the optimal setup. I will say that's the optimal set. Again, also you can use instead of like if you don't want to use Demise, you can use Totem. But yeah, you can use. I'd say optimal choice would be Demise and Kalik, because with Demise you can set up your Clever Bird, and then you can just follow that up with Explosion on his actual turn. And if he like gets freezes in between that time, you can use Kalik to keep him from being frozen, and all that jazz. Or like a fast DNI or two that works too. Runes. I'm gonna say 2 strengths and a life. Please put a life rune on this thing. Don't put a speed rune on it. It doesn't need a speed rune. It needs a life rune. Put a life rune on it, please. Again, I guess you can do whatever you want. I think the extra guy said even works on this guy. Depending on your preference. If you don't want to be like triple outrun, in all honesty, I think the life rune's pretty important. You do want the life rune. Please put a life rune on this thing. And the damage up, the obviously the two strengths is to patch up is meh attack. I think it'll help out with his other damaging output and stuff like that. And that's all I really need to say about Plymouth. Plymouth is pretty great. I would think like if he's ranked up at least once or twice, he would be actually really great in Team Wars, especially like all three legendary. Regeneration is actually really great, especially if you're doing that stuff and stuff like that. Especially if you're good at controlling the damage, keeping the attacker from actually doing anything. They'll never kill you at that point. Then it's just too much regeneration. It's too much things going on. I think this guy does great at that. As soon as he gets up a rank or two. So I'm DibtheAwesome. I hope you guys enjoy this guy. I'll catch you guys later.